My neighbor's experiment made me the girl of his dreams. I never thought my life would take such an unexpected turn, all because of a simple favor for my neighbor. My name is Ethan, and I'm a 20-year-old college student studying computer science. My life has always been predictable. Wake up, go to class, study, play video games, repeat. I wasn't the kind of guy who took risks or stepped outside my comfort zone. But that all changed when James, my next-door neighbor, knocked on my door one evening with an unusual request. James was a chemistry grad student, known for his wild experiments. He was always up to something, whether it was brewing strange concoctions in his kitchen or testing odd inventions on himself. We weren't exactly close, but we got along well enough. That night, he stood at my doorstep, his eyes alight with excitement. "I need a test subject," he said, "for my latest experiment." I laughed. "James, last time you asked me to help, my hands smelled like sulfur for a week." He grinned. "This is different. It's a transformation experiment." I raised an eyebrow. "Transformation?" He nodded. "I've developed a serum that can temporarily alter physical traits. In this case, I can turn you into a girl." I froze, processing his words. This had to be a joke. "What's the catch?" I asked cautiously. "No catch. It's completely safe. And temporary." I stared at him, my mind racing. A part of me wanted to slam the door and forget this conversation ever happened. But another part, one I didn't fully understand, was intrigued. I had no idea that one simple choice would change everything. I sat on my couch, staring at the small glass vial James had placed before me. The liquid inside shimmered under the dim light, a soft pink hue swirling with an almost hypnotic pull. I swallowed hard. "This will change me? Completely?" I asked, my voice quieter than I intended. James nodded. "For a few days at most. It's a full-body transformation. Bone structure, facial features, voice, even hormone levels. You'll look, sound, and feel like a woman. But it's temporary. You'll change back." I exhaled, rubbing my temples. "And do you want me to try this?" "You're the perfect candidate," James said casually. "You're healthy, open-minded, and honestly, I think you'd make a fascinating subject." That last part made my stomach twist. What did he mean by fascinating? I glanced at him, trying to read his expression, but he just watched me expectantly. I looked back at the vial. This was crazy. Insane. My entire life, I'd been just an average guy. I'd never thought about what it would be like to be a woman. And yet something inside me wanted to know. I imagined it, stepping in front of a mirror and seeing a completely different person. Feeling the weight of long hair on my shoulders, the smoothness of a different body. Would I recognize myself? Would I still be myself? But what if it doesn't wear off? I asked, gripping the vial tightly. James shook his head. "It will. I've tested it on animals. The effects always reverse." That didn't exactly reassure me. But the real fear wasn't about being stuck. It was about what I might discover. I could walk away, forget this ever happened, and go back to my normal life. Or I could take the risk, open a door I'd never even considered before, and see where it led. I felt my heartbeat in my throat. Then, before I could change my mind, I uncorked the vial and drank. The moment the liquid touched my tongue, a strange warmth spread through my body, like a slow-burning ember igniting from within. I barely had time to process the taste, sweet, almost like honey, before a wave of dizziness washed over me. "Whoa," I muttered, gripping the edge of the couch as the room tilted. James leaned forward, eyes gleaming with curiosity. "It's starting?" Panic gripped my chest. "Wait, what if this doesn't work right?" "You're fine," James reassured me, but his voice was distant, like he was observing an experiment rather than helping a friend. A sharp tingling sensation spread through my limbs, followed by a deep, almost electric pulse in my core. I gasped, pressing a hand to my chest. My skin felt sensitive, hypersensitive, as if every nerve was waking up in a new way. Then the real changes began. My fingers stretched, becoming slender and delicate. My arms, once toned from years of casual workouts, thinned, my shoulders narrowing. A prickling sensation ran down my spine, followed by an odd pulling in my waist, like an invisible force reshaping me from the inside out. I pressed a hand against my stomach and felt it shrink inward, my hips subtly widening in contrast. "Oh my God," I whispered. James grinned. "Incredible." I should have been terrified. I was terrified. But beneath the fear was something else, something exhilarating. I stood on shaky legs, stumbling toward the hallway mirror. With every step, my balance fell off, my body different. My jeans hung loosely at my waist, my t-shirt stretching in unfamiliar ways. Then I saw myself. I barely recognized the reflection staring back. My face had softened, my jawline more delicate, my cheekbones higher. My lips full, pink, parted slightly in shock. And my hair, it had grown past my shoulders, silky and dark. But the most startling change was my chest. My hands trembled as I touched the curve of my new breasts, the unfamiliar weight pressing against my shirt. A mix of awe and fear swirled inside me. What have I done? James stood behind me, watching with undisguised excitement. "You're perfect." I turned to him, my heart pounding. This wasn't just an experiment anymore. This was real. I was real. And there was no turning back. I stumbled back from the mirror, my breath coming in shallow gasps. My mind was racing, trying to grasp the reality of what had just happened. This isn't a dream. This isn't a trick. I'm actually a girl. James was still watching me, his gaze filled with fascination, but I could barely focus on him. My hands ran over my new body, feeling every unfamiliar curve, every delicate contour. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. "I need to change back," I blurted out.
"Now?"
James raised an eyebrow. "Ethan, you just transformed. Don't you want to experience this for a little while? To really see what it's like?" I opened my mouth to argue, but I hesitated. If I changed back now, I could pretend this never happened. I could go back to my normal life, my normal body. But the thought of reversing it so quickly sent a strange pang through me. I turned back to the mirror, staring at the girl I had become. She looked back at me with wide, uncertain eyes, eyes that were still mine. Despite my fear, a curiosity burned in my chest. Would I regret not exploring this? Would I always wonder what it would have been like to live as her, even for a little while? I swallowed hard. "Okay," I whispered. "I'll stay like this for now." James grinned. Now that's the spirit. I didn't know it yet, but that single decision was about to change everything. The first thing I noticed was how small I felt. My usual clothes hung awkwardly off my new frame. My jeans, once snug, threatened to slip past my hips, and my t-shirt sagged against my softer chest. Even my shoes felt loose, like they no longer belonged to me. James handed me a bag. "I figured this might happen. Got some clothes that should fit you better." I hesitated before taking it, my fingers brushing against the fabric inside. I was still reeling from the changes, my body both familiar and foreign at the same time. My hands were smaller, my fingers delicate, and every movement felt different. There was a newfound grace to the way my body moved, an unfamiliar sway in my hips when I shifted my weight. "Go try them on," James urged, his voice filled with excitement. I made my way to the bathroom, my reflection in the hallway mirror catching my eye again. I couldn't look away. The girl staring back at me was pretty. Not just passable, not just different. She was beautiful in a way that made my stomach twist with something I couldn't quite define. I closed the door behind me and pulled out the clothes James had given me. A simple pair of leggings and a fitted tank top. It was strange. My hands trembled as I undressed, as if I was peeling away the last remnants of who I used to be. Sliding into the leggings sent a shiver down my spine. They clung to my legs, fitting like a second skin, emphasizing the curves I wasn't used to. The tank top was snug too, highlighting the shape of my chest. I took a deep breath and turned to face the mirror. The change was undeniable. The baggy clothes had hidden it, but now there was no escaping it. I didn't just look like a girl, I felt like one. The The fabric against my skin, the way my body moved, even the way I carried myself, it was all different. A rush of emotions hit me all at once. Excitement, fear, curiosity. Who is this girl? I ran my fingers through my long, silky hair, tilting my head slightly. I tried smiling, and the girl in the mirror smiled back, soft, shy, uncertain. A knock at the door made me jump. "You okay in there?" James called. I swallowed hard. I think so," I said, my voice higher, softer, yet still mine. As I opened the door, stepping back into the world in this new form, I realized something unsettling. I wasn't sure I wanted to change back. The city lights flickered in the distance as I stood on James's balcony, the cool night air brushing against my bare arms. My heart pounded in my chest, the weight of everything pressing down on me. Just hours ago, I had been Ethan, just a regular guy with a regular life. Now, I was someone else entirely. And the strangest part? I wasn't sure I wanted to go back. James joined me outside, leaning against the railing with a knowing smile. "You're quiet." I exhaled slowly. I don't know what to say. He studied me for a moment. "Be honest. How do you feel?" I turned to face him, my pulse quickening. How did I feel? There was fear, of course. Uncertainty. But underneath it all was something even stronger, something that scared me more than anything else. I felt right. I had spent my entire life feeling like something was off, like there was a part of me I never fully understood. And now, standing here as her, everything clicked into place in a way I couldn't explain. My fingers curled around the railing. What if? What if I don't want to change back? The words were barely above a whisper, but saying them out loud made my chest tighten. James didn't look surprised. If anything, his grin widened. "Then don't." I turned away, staring at my reflection in the glass door. The girl staring back at me had the same eyes, the same soul, but she wasn't afraid. A rush of emotion hit me. I had spent my entire life being him, but now, for the first time, I had a choice. And maybe, just maybe, I didn't want to be Ethan anymore. James reached for my hand, his touch warm and grounding. "This is your life. Your choice. No one else's." I swallowed hard, my grip tightening around his. For the first time, I wasn't afraid of the answer. I want to see who I really am." The words hung in the air between us, final and absolute. There was no turning back now. Days passed, then weeks. What started as an experiment had turned into something much bigger, something I never could have predicted. At first, I told myself it was temporary. Just a phase. Just curiosity. But as I lived each day in this new form, the truth became impossible to ignore. I wasn't pretending anymore. I wasn't just playing a role in James's experiment. I was me. Looking in the mirror no longer brought confusion or fear. Instead, I saw someone strong, someone real. Someone who had been waiting to exist for far too long. James had been right. This was my life, my choice. And now I was finally making it for me. Of course, it wasn't easy. Telling my family, my friends, facing the world as her, it was terrifying. Not everyone understood, and not everyone accepted it. But for the first time, I wasn't living for them. I was living for myself. One evening, as I stepped out onto James's balcony, feeling the cool air against my skin, I smiled. I wasn't Ethan anymore. I wasn't him. I was her. And for the first time in my life, I was exactly who I was meant to be.